Hello everyone, I'm Greg Weaver. Welcome to The Audio Analyst. If you followed my writing or the channel for any length of time, you'll be aware that I believe we are in the midst of a new golden age of audio, a time when choices at both extremes of the price spectrum make this the most amazing time in the history of this industry to be a music-loving audiophile. In support of that contention, I've explored the gamut of products from $465,000 loudspeakers and $164,000 a pair amplifiers to $100 streamers and $85 DACs. My experiences with the surprisingly competent performance of the insanely affordable S.M.S.L SU-1 DAC, chronicled here on the channel with episode 174, really established the goals and intentions of my second space concept, introduced with episode 141. My investigation of the versatile and overachieving Fosi Audio V3 monoblock power amplifiers with episodes 199, 206, and 209, combined with the exploration of the benefits of op-amp rolling, investigating the advantages of implementing discrete operational amplifiers, really solidified my second space concept and led to the Fosi Audio marketing team reaching out to offer me the opportunity to explore even more of their affordable products. Today, I'm introducing another uber-affordable, even more accomplished DAC than the SU-1, my previous budget champion. I'm talking about the $99 Fosi Audio Q6. Where the tiny $85 SU-1 earned my regard for its surprisingly balanced and accomplished performance, given its absurd affordability with episode 174 in May of 2024. It is just 3 3/4 inches wide, 3 1/4 inches deep, and 1 1/8 inch tall, scarcely larger than a pack of poker-sized playing cards, and it weighs a scant 6.8 ounces. With a retail price of $99 and routinely available on Amazon for anywhere from $80 to $85, the Fosi Audio Q6 is 6.5 inches deep, including the source selection knob, power switch, and jacks, 4 1/8 inches wide, and 1 1/2 inches tall. It weighs just 14.6 ounces. A quick look under the hood of both DACs reveals many similarities and a host of differences. Both DACs share the same Asahi Kasei Microdevices AK4493S chipset, just one flight down from their flagship chipset, the AK4499. And while it is MQA enabled, that is basically a moot consideration, as MQA is essentially a failed and all but dead technology. Further similarities between the two DACs include the implementation of the S.M.S.L SU-3 audio processor chip to enable high-resolution audio streaming with ultra-low latency and bit-perfect quality. This DAC processor combo enables the Q6 to accept data up to 32-bit 768 kHz PCM and 22.4 MHz or quad DSD. And both draw power via their USB-C input, a connection that may also be used to provide a file stream to the DAC, especially if you're using a computer or smartphone as a source. And as well as their USB-C input, each has one optical and one coaxial input and one pair of single-ended RCA audio outputs. The SU-1's printed circuit board has its various operating voltages printed right at its various test points, which is very helpful for those of us who may wish to consider modifying or servicing this ambitious little upstart. Interestingly, there are also several unlabeled chipsets, one of which is the higher performance Texas Instruments LME 49720. Selling for about $8 each from DigiKey, it is a high-performance, ultra-low distortion IC op-amp that significantly outperforms the older, more common, and budget-friendly Texas Instruments NE5532P, which costs just 70 cents from the same source. Given its extreme compactness, the SU-1 necessitates a very dense population of its components, from its quality power supply and filtering system and DAC to the various capacitors and surface mount components employed, leaving virtually no space on the PCB unused. While this closeness allows for shorter traces and signal paths, it may also be detrimental because of electromagnetic interference and heat generation. Such component proximity and the resultant interactions that fosters may lead to elevated noise, distortion, and other performance issues. Finally, it uses a single microswitch held briefly to power on or off, or pressed repeatedly to toggle through its 3 digital inputs. Where the Fosi Audio Q6 is nearly 3 times larger than the SU-1, it is still tiny. A closer look under the hood reveals a more judicious use of the space available between all its components. Among its abundance of quality parts, we find a pair of Omron miniature surface mount signal relays. While the input choice is made using the rotary selector on its front panel, the Omron relays provide effective isolation while switching between the 3 sensitive, low-power digital inputs. As you may have noticed, like so many affordable DACs, the Q6 uses an older Texas Instruments NE5532P IC dual op-amp installed in a convenient DIP-8 socket. Guess what? That means we can leverage op-amp rolling with this DAC. More on that soon enough. As well as the necessary left and right RCA audio outputs, there is a curious third RCA jack at the far right of the Q6's rear panel labeled Sub Out. What would appear to be a dedicated low-pass output, there is no way to modulate or control its output voltage. There is no way to manage the volume of any subwoofer that you may connect to it. As such, I have no clue how it is to be used effectively. I guess that if the chosen subwoofer you're going to use has a volume control, you could manually adjust the volume level at the sub, but you'd be jumping up and down to readjust its level every time you change the main speaker's listening volume with your preamplifier. But enough of this. What kind of music can the Fosi Audio Q6 DAC deliver? Right from its packaging, powered using a Fonken 5-volt 2-amp travel charger and a premium 6-foot small electric USB-A to USB-C cable, plugged into my Audience Forte V8 power conditioner. Though it was a tad on the harder, drier side of natural, this little machine still managed to sound bold and dynamic. After letting it run in, playing for over 24 hours, it was time to give a closer listen. Sitting down in front of this little DAC with a little over a day of settling and run-in, using a WIM Pro Plus wirelessly connected to my Roon Core to stream from my NAS or Qobuz, brought a pleasant surprise. Now, for those interested, you may see all the details on my second space system at my companion website, and I have included that direct link in today's description section. The slight dryness and edge had been all but vanquished, leaving behind a remarkably resolute view into the music. That view was remarkably well balanced across the entire musical spectrum and was well fleshed out with faithful tonality, a good sense of body, and an engaging soundscape. The stock Fosi Q6 was now beyond just not embarrassing. It was more musically engaging, slightly more transparent, and presented with more tonal and spatial honesty overall. After a few weeks of listening to the engaging sonic tapestry reconstructed using this absurdly affordable machine, as impressed as I was with the stock Q6's voice, it was time to start op-amp rolling. While I'm awaiting samples of the V7 Vivid op-amps from Burson, Andrew Sparks of Sparkos Labs in Colorado has been gracious enough to send me more of his SS3602 discrete dual op-amps for my op-amp rolling adventures. These are the same model op-amps I used to realize the remarkable sonic improvements with my Fosi V3 amplifier upgrades. Oh, and if you are curious about the differences between IC and discrete op-amps, please see my episode 206. Starting about a minute 40 seconds in, I provide a detailed explanation of the whole enchilada. The Q6 dismantles in seconds. Two short 2mm countersunk hex head screws, which a 5/64 inch hex wrench will fit perfectly, unscrew from their mated standoffs extending from the front panel. At that point, the rear panel is freed, and the front panel, with its connected PCB, will slide out of the channel guides from the front of the aluminum alloy chassis. Removing the stock NE5532P op-amp mounted in the DIP-8 socket on the Q6's board, shown here, is a cinch. After gently prying it away from its seating in the DIP-8 socket with a plastic IC extractor tool, you can use tweezers or a fine blade micro screwdriver, just be careful. And within a matter of seconds, I was able to slip it completely out of its socket. After making sure I had the replacement SS3602 in the proper orientation, I was able to quickly seat it with a firm downward press of my finger. Now, if you choose to make such an upgrade, take your time and pay strict attention to the op-amp's physical orientation. Follow the detailed directions in the Sparkos Audio video linked in today's description so that you install the replacement SS3602 with the correct alignment. If you install it 180 degrees reversed, essentially backward, you will not only destroy the op-amp, but you may also do serious damage to other components in the DAC itself. After reassembly, reinstallation, and another 30-odd hours of run-in and settle, even though the $80 Sparkos SS3602 costs 80% of the Q6's base price, the sonic improvements seemed to be even more dramatic and beneficial than those I had experienced when upgrading the Fosi V3 mono amplifiers with these same Sparkos discrete devices. The overall sonic envelope of the Q6 had now bloomed in so many ways that it was difficult to accept that these results had been accomplished with only the op-amp substitution. The general improvement of sonic attributes like tonal color, texture, and instrumental body had taken on new vividness and solidity. The sense of instrumental bloom, of palpability of instrumental voices, the solidity and layering of sound staging cues, and the specificity and sizes of images was undeniably and markedly enhanced. The general nature of the improvements realized with the installation of the Sparkos SS3602 op-amp were not dissimilar to the kinds of enhancements one might generally attribute to the flavor and nature of the sound one notes from the very best tube amplification. If you revisit my experiences with the SU-1 in episode 174, you will find that it proved to be remarkably competent, impressive even, when driven from either of my affordable WIM streaming solutions, covered in episode 147, or even when fed directly from my Samsung mobile phone. It delivered an obvious elevation of performance when compared to the native analog output from either of my WIM streamers. While the now year-and-a-half-old Dynamo SU-1 leverages the higher performance available from the Texas Instruments LME 49720, slightly edging out the stock Fosi Q6 in terms of resolution and detail, it still comes off sounding slightly dry and sterile when contrasted with the stock Fosi Q6. And once the Fosi Q6 settled into its new life with the Sparkos op amp in play, it presented with elevated dynamism, more refined pitch definition, especially through the bass and mid-bass regions, and was more focused, delivering more convincing dimensionality and space with exceptional staging, layering, and imaging cues. I was really knocked out. While it cannot begin to equal the exceptional performance I enjoy from my reference digital front end here, its outrageous level of overachievement, especially with the Sparkos op amp in place, has earned it the spot as my reference DAC for my second space system. With an asking price that even the most financially challenged can manage, and with a significant, almost effortless, and similarly affordable upgrade path that can be implemented at any time that is convenient to your schedule and budget, the Fosi Q6 is the new champion in the sub-$100 DAC category and has therefore earned my most enthusiastic recommendation. I hope I've made clear that by adding this little overachieving micro DAC to even the most humble of rigs, combined with your streamer, be that a tablet or a phone or a dedicated streamer, and your music streaming service from the likes of Qobuz or Tidal to Spotify, Apple, or Amazon Music, you have just built yourself an absurdly affordable, killer-sounding, fully digital playback system. In closing, overachieving machines like this Fosi Audio Q6 only serve to demonstrate that the cost of admission today is so reasonable, especially for those hesitant due to the fear of taking an expensive misstep, that anyone can afford to dip their toes into the waters of building a musically engaging, premium streaming and digital playback system. The Q6 DAC from Fosi Audio exemplifies a new level of accomplishment in overall design, build quality, elevated sonic performance, and value that was not possible, could not even be realized even half a decade ago. As such, it offers something different for everyone across multiple needs. For some, it will be all you will ever need to flesh out your digital musical experience. For others, it will be the gateway to new and even better sounding musical experiences. As I said at the opening, there has never been a better time to be a music-loving audiophile. As always, thank you for taking the time to drop by today. Further information on supporting the channel may be found in today's description section or at my companion website, theaudioanalyst.com. Please stay safe and keep the music playing. Till next time, cheers.